What we gotta do? Open first.
Okay. Oh, that's how we have to go open session right now.
We're on. Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order this school committee meeting. October 12th. If everyone could please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time, have our moment of reflection. And I would just like to fondly think of our former school committee member, Joe Quinn, who didn't always agree with, but he was always good for some conversation, and his opinion would always happily give you his opinion about something or discuss a school matter. I really got to know Joe and like having conversations with him. And we were sad to hear that he passed last week. And so this would be a moment of reflection about Joe. All right, thank you. 1.4, consider and vote to enter into executive session under RIGL section 42, 46, 5A1. I have a motion.
Second.
We'll vote by roll call. Holly? Aye.
Travis?
Aye.
Hannah?
Aye.
That's it.
That's it?
That's it. Motion carries.
Thank you, John.
I'm ready. All right, welcome back. We're reconvening in open session. I'd like to notify everyone that there were no votes taken in executive session, no votes. 3.3, I would consider a motion to seal the minutes of executive session. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda?
I move to approve consent agenda items 4.2 through 4.6.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. We would like to table 4.1 until next meeting, please. McKinnon is kindly
He's
making copies. I should have spoke slower, more slowly. But he's going to be doing telling us about some fall activities here at Wilbur
they
McMahon.
have been busy.
There he is.
Chicken scratch on the back.
All the secrets. Secrets written on the
Jack,
back.
you're on.
Oh,
Your agenda
No,
item is
no pressure.
okay.
I was speed talking.
catch your breath.
John has a couple of slides that we're going to throw on there. So start with the academic, some of the things going on academically. Our International Baccalaureate update, real quick. Our authorization phase begins November 1. So we're done at the end of this month with one phase, and we start another one November 1st. We've been working on the policy of assessment, language, and an honesty and integrity policy. And we're looking at IB visiting us sometime in the winter. I'm going to ballpark and say February, March, somewhere around there, where they come in and look at what we've done up to this point. And we're hoping at that point that we move forward as a true IB school. We have a lot of science, all of our science teachers in the building, which is a grade kindergarten, grade 1, 2, both teachers in grade 2. And then one teacher at each of the next grade levels have been going off to EBEC and getting trained in FOSS and in NGSA. I think with what happened 2 years ago kind of slowed things down a little bit, but they've been picking up the pace on that. So we've been sending teachers over on basically a weekly basis, one or two teachers over, getting some EBEC professional development. We have a couple of things. We have some field trips that are upcoming. We had a kindergarten field trip. Mr. Audi was aware of that. He was on that trip. Kindergarten and preschool that went to the Young's family farm and came back. Kids looked like as if they had a fantastic time there. I think the adults probably had a better time, but a lot of fun for our students, especially the pre-K kids who are probably going on a bus for a first time. Truly enjoyed themselves. 8th graders this coming Friday, have a field trip in town. It's nice that you have such history located in this town where they're able to take advantage and see some of the things, historical properties that are in this town. We have a 5th grade field trip in November 4th. It's to Save the Bay in Providence. And they will be on a boat in Providence, and they'll be looking at the ecosystems of the bay. The bay has recently had a lot of positive things in terms of the cleanliness of the bay. So they're going to get a great opportunity to do some science work while they're up there. We have our Buck Hill trip with our 8th graders on Monday. The weather is not cooperating right now, but I know Mr. DeLeo has many things prepared in the event of rain. I think we're expecting rain the first 2 days, but we'll use good judgment up there. That is a trip, as you're well aware, people who have lived in this town have probably gone on these Buck Hill trips. It's a good opportunity for our students to see what life was like, back in the earlier times of Little Compton, the 1800s. Very rustic setting up in the Chepachet area of our state. I will say this, I think when This was run by a previous social studies teacher. As Miss Allen can attest, the food wasn't very good, but Mr. DeLeo certainly puts on quite a showing with the food, including some smoked salmon for our students. They do a really nice job up there.
I have heard the food is good. I did not attend my Buck Hill trip. I was at the World's Fair in New Orleans.
Really.
So no Buck Hill for me.
Different kind of experience.
It was a different kind of experience with really good food.
And finally, with our DC, finally talk about field trips, DC for our 8th graders. We're looking at May 17th through the 19th. We were originally going to be taking a train down the night before. Right now, the cost for flying is probably equal to the train, so they might be going back to a flight down to DC, which I think would certainly be pleasing for some people. They're hoping to get to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, which has been something that Little Compton students have always benefited from. Unfortunately, it is 6 months out. You have to make the reservations, which is sometime in November, so we don't know anything about that yet. And they're looking to do an Orioles game on the Thursday night that they're down there. We have a 7th, 8th grade. We're calling it a Freaky Friday Frolic on October 28th. And that is another word for a dance. First time we've had a dance in the building, probably since the 8th grade graduation 2 years ago. And we have it's called Tiger, which is Theater Integrating Guidance, Education, and Responsibility. It's a Choose Love Theater. It is a social emotional learning group from Plymouth State College, Plymouth State University that will be here on October 26th for a performance. It's geared predominantly towards our K through 6. However, it does have a 7 and 8 aspect to it. So we are going to have our entire school in there on the 26th of October. It's a world-renowned group that travels the globe. So we're looking forward to that. And that ties in certainly with our Choose Love, which is social emotional learning that we use in grades 6 through 8. And that is it.
Awesome.
So student, if I may, Chair, I saw Students of the Month.
Oh, Students of the Month. I'm sorry. Yep. Where is that? Right there. That was, they got their little certificate and a little treat on Friday of this past week. The other picture that I had up there was a picture from our Buck Hill trip where the students are building, some sort of refuge from weather. So that's one of the things that they end up doing. It was certainly a good time. The weather was very cooperative last spring, and cross our fingers for the next couple of days.
And the Student of the Month, is it based on IB values now?
Yes, it is. So the learner profile term that was used was communicator. So we put out to all the teachers, and I included the specialists as well this time around, not just the classroom teachers, because they see them in a different area. So we had a few more students than we normally have, unlike the 9 students we had. I think we had 12 students that were recognized. We did not recognize a pre-K. She asked that, she's still trying to understand the kids and know the kids. But we had students from health, physical education, Spanish, library, and the arts. So 12 kids were recognized in that.
Thanks. Awesome. Thank you. Anyone have any comments for Mr. McKinnon?
Awesome.
Good stuff.
Superintendent's report, update on capital improvement plan.
Could you put that up?
Yeah.
Jonathan or Jonathan, you have the bulk of.
My house is.
I'm going to hit Mr. McKinnon. Oh, God.
Someday. There we go.
Thank you, Jonathan. Oh, nice. You can see it nice and big. Last week, the district admin team Sedgwick and Gabriel McNamee and Dias Mitchell, as well as the building administrator, McKinnon, Mr. McKinnon. We met with Phil Conti, if you'll remember him from Studio Jade, and he came on site and we started actuating the plan and getting down to the nitty gritty of realizing this 5-year plan of improvements, educational enhancements, and some deferred maintenance thrown in. This year, we will start with the parking lot. We do have care and control given to us from the town. Thank you very much, Little Compton. And that'll be another shared service, really, for community members, for town employees, school employees, et cetera. We went into the kitchen because, as you all know, the kitchen does not have a dishwasher, nor does it have a range. And some of those items had to be engineered out of the renovation a decade ago due to the cost. So we will be folding those in. And so Phil Conti is generating a plan to that effect, and we will be getting that equipment in before long. We also are going to take the art room that was once 2 classrooms and made into one huge space. We're going back to the future, and we are reapportioning all of that into 2 good-sized classrooms. And so that is our 2023 school year plan. Next year, the focus will be reimagining the media center. The media center has fixed shelving, nothing can move. And so modularity of furnishings will be definitely the goal there. Modular everything and some differentiated seating, some cafe seating for our older kids, some, small, soft, and, fidgety seating, a sort of sensory experience for kids. We're going to try to fold it all in. And then the year after that, 2025, a new interior and exterior components and finishes. And I'll have more details, once, we start getting contractors in, et cetera. We're also in a few years going to look at the courtyard to nowhere. Here it is, and look at making that space functional and an outdoor classroom that is protected, not so much from the elements because it's open air. So it's al fresco learning still, but it is protected from traffic and any other elements that could impede learning. Right now, if you go outside and you're on the front lawn, there is traffic there. It's fine for some outdoor learning, but not for everything. And the year after that, we're looking at some more interior and exterior components and finishes. We're looking at, in the older spaces, acoustical ceilings, maybe replacing some windows that were not replaced 10 years ago because of cost, et cetera, et cetera. Select deferred maintenance. There's no school building in the country that is not continuously deferring some aspects of HVAC and everything else and having to play catch up. And then in 2027, we may take the connector road in front of the building and also replacing selected exterior doors and fobbing them and adding electrical outlets to the classrooms. We may move some of that up to this year if we can fold some in and if we still, prioritize those. We've already started adding electrical outlets to some of the office spaces, not necessarily classroom spaces, and that has worked out well. But there are some doors in the back that we need to replace and fob. We would love to have fobs in just about every exterior door, but some of our doors cannot be mechanized that way, so we have to replace them. They're old, and some of them are not quite original to the building, but they're outdated. So that's where we are. So this year, the top four: site work, new stage, curtain rigging, and AV, adding kitchen equipment, consolidating the art room, creating additional classroom in there. And right now I want to, and I saved that best for last, new stage, curtain and rigging and AV for Jonathan, because he can elaborate on that and talk to you about this project that the town did collaborate on and did help fund. I think they gave us an extra $50,000 just for that, because it is a space that they share for town meeting, et cetera. And it started off 75 to 100 grand, and it has sort of ballooned up as you fix one thing, you have to upgrade another. However, it was a standalone project. Folding it into this 5-year plan means that we can enjoy the reimbursement, likely 40%. So even though the cost went up, because the infrastructure needed a heck of a lot more than we expected, it'll be the same, because we will be reimbursed. Jonathan, take the floor.
Yeah, well, you took most of my bullet points there. So,
Sorry.
No, I'm kidding. No, I mean, as you mentioned, yeah, so it's good to just maybe explain, provide some clarity around the whole project, because I know it keeps popping up, and I've gotten questions from other people around town, even just what's the deal with that. So originally, yeah, I think we were looking at like a $75,000 to $100,000 project, and this started out really right when COVID started, just before that. And that was to do really the AV, the microphones, add a little bit more professional grade equipment there, and do the projector. And really that was about it. As we started looking into things, we discovered that a lot of the backbone stuff that the vendors who initially quoted that out at for around that price range, they had assumed that stuff was all reliable and we were able to use it. But it turns out we're not able to in a couple of cases. So we need to do some additional work for the actual structural rigging above the stage. It's in no condition to hang any equipment from, even what we have there now. We've started taking stuff down just to be safe about it. But that all needs to be replaced. The curtains are falling down, like literally ripping off of the hooks that hold them up. Are definitely not fireproof anymore. So we've started to change the project to encompass all these things. As such, it has grown a lot, but as the superintendent mentioned, by including it in the capital plan, we're able to leverage all the housing reimbursement to bring it back down to pretty much the original budget amount that we'll be kind of liable for out of pocket, give or take a few thousand. Yeah, so the new project will encompass all new wireless microphones, as well as a wired system to accommodate like choral microphones, specialty instrument ones. So like the band chorus programs, they have a few different options. The stage itself will also be mic, so you don't need to have dedicated hardware on each child or person up there. They could just get up there and speak. We're going with a state-of-the-art projector that is like movie theater quality, good enough so you don't have to shut every curtain that's 30 feet in the air and dim the lights down to nothing. You'll actually be able to watch a movie or have a presentation in the space without it being pitch black. All new rigging to hang everything from, all new curtains, both the backdrops, which are the ones that are literally falling apart, and the front panels as well, which are really starting to show their age. But with new curtains means we don't have to spray them with the fire chemicals anymore. So there's a cost that we can eliminate. And really the other big part of that is a good automation system to connect it all together. So the idea is, regardless of who you are, a teacher who wants to show a movie, a person who wants to just have a quick presentation, somebody from town renting the space maybe, or a town meeting, you walk in, you press a button on a little touch screen on the wall, and the appropriate equipment all turns itself on, sets itself to the right input. You can plug in your laptop and you just go, just like you're in one of our classrooms. Really, it's as easy as that. So yeah, it should modernize the space quite a bit. Get it to the point where it could really be potentially even a revenue generator when we have all this equipment, and it's that easy to use that we can enable people to use the space outside of the school. And I think it's long overdue. Nobody would argue with it there. Yeah, that's about it.
Thank you. And we've already removed the VFDs that made all that ambient, that awful noise. So if you ever want a tour of that space, it's really remarkable how much those, that machinery that they moved. Did a great job at the last renovation. So that's it. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, the way we're structuring it is that you have to have a project that's at least over $500,000 in order to get the bonus housing aid. So the bonus housing aid percentage could be over the base amount, which is 35%, as many as half of that, 18%. But we should be able to get at least 10 percentage points more. So we'd be looking at somewhere around a 45% reimbursement. And the site work that for the town paving, that money is really coming from the town.
Mhm.
So we're not going to have to come up with those funds for that part of the project. So it's, I think it's something we want to move on this year and try to get it before the end of June, get substantial completion, because then your housing aid gets paid out to you in the following year in September and May. So September and March, I guess it is. So that's why we'll have substantial completion by June with a lot of these projects in order to get the housing aid money in. So, and then we'll leverage that for other projects, obviously.
How will this affect school?
Well, it shouldn't.
We talked about that last week.
Some of this will be if we get it out and we get the contractors ready to move as soon as school ends.
Yeah.
Then we'll be able to get that complete. I'm working on another district where we happen to do 2 library media centers, and we thought we'd probably be able to get them done during the summer, but you can't. But we're going to do 2 more. We're going to bid those out now. Have the contractors get all the materials in, everything else. And when we turn it over to them on the middle of June, they'll be done by the end of August.
Is there a plan if they're not? Because just never believe contract deadlines. We renovated our house 25 years ago. There's still months.
Yeah.
We had some really good
These
luck.
aren't really major renovations, though.
with bundling them.
You know, the parking lot, I think will be, they've already got the design for the parking lot. We'll have to have our architects kind of just usher it through a ride to get the approval.
I was thinking like more the art room and classroom, like,
Well, the art room,
no.
that one will probably get pushed to the summer. I think we'll get the top 3 in before the end of the year, and then
Absolutely.
look at that one being done during the summer. But if we plan it out properly, they should be able to do that within the summer months.
We'll have a fully equipped kitchen rather than just an oven and a sonic steamer that I got from a grant. Yeah.
Same as our emergency shelter.
Right.
That is,
Good.
that's a bonus. We can now boil water.
And the key with this is
Yes.
you're getting equipment reambused from RIDE, which under the old program,
They
you
didn't
couldn't get
reimburse.
it. So we've got that approved in there. So it
Awesome.
makes a lot of sense to move forward with it.
Super. Does anyone else have questions?
I just have one question for Superintendent. This all started with a grant, correct?
Yes, the $50,000 grant.
Yes.
To engage an architectural engineering firm to come in
Correct.
and do a full 5-year
Yes.
plan. Yeah, it did.
So the reason I bring that up, I just want to thank you because this is an opportunity
Mhm.
that we pursued. There's money available to our community
Yes.
that we are taking advantage of. And this
Always.
is something that needs to continue to happen. So kudos to you for exploring it. Kudos to everybody on the team that's, doing their part in terms of this is what we need. This is how we can do it. I'm thrilled, but more importantly, I don't think that this comes to light without your knowledge and background of being able to write grants and know that these monies can be available if pursued.
Thank
So
you.
really appreciate that.
Well, thank you. It is a team effort.
I had a quick thought.
Yes.
So we had a chance to have that virtual town hall with the kids the other night.
Oh, yep.
Running for the school committee. And one of the things that came up was usage of those outdoor spaces. And the kids were really strong to say that they want to have a garden and they want to grow their own food. And there was a bigger picture. They had a bigger plan in mind and incorporating it into the menu here at school. But as you're doing these projects, I just wanted to be a voice for those eighth graders and other students who all sort of agreed that they would love to be able to be growing food and flowers and all sorts of stuff in those outdoor spaces. And I think the kitchen's going to be really popular because they also talked about wanting to have like more exposure to culinary,
Correct.
like hands-on work and like old school home economics type of stuff. They said that they really were interested in that too. So I think you're doing the right thing there.
Oh, do you mind stating your name and address for the record?
Glacier 29 West Main Road.
Thank you. Years ago, in the other courtyard, we did do a little farming group. We couldn't serve the food because of the contract with Chartwell's, so it had to be like an after-school event. And unfortunately, at the time, my family, which is a farming family, we were bigger farmers then, and another farming family were the only families that did it. So it was our kids. Our kids were like, oh, like we just said, oh, what? So hopefully there'll be a new group of interest of non-farming families that want to get their hands in the dirt and see how things work and how to feed themselves. Yep, that's awesome.
If I may, we do have a slide up that relates to this agenda item. Jonathan is.
There it is. Okay. We have a lot of content on there now. I had to scroll back pretty far.
You're welcome. We're having fun with some of our new systems. So we do have some gardening going on, vegetables as well as flowers out in the other courtyard, the Echo Oasis. And so the children in preschool, they planted and harvested both veggies and flowers.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Scarlet.
So cute.
And that was a couple of weeks ago already. I think there's even more out there now.
Yep, I think so too.
Awesome. It requires some work in the summer is what we
Yeah.
didn't like. The kids would plant stuff in the spring and then someone had to take care of it. And then the kids would show up and magically it was like,
Right.
wow, look at all this happened. Well, you know, like, that was easy.
The school committee a few years ago, at administration's request, you did fund an Echo Oasis coordinator.
Yes.
Miss Woodhouse is out.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
She was here also.
I think
Carla
things have really
Woodhouse.
moved along since she's been in that position. Yeah.
She deserves a shout out.
Yeah.
She does.
Shout out to Carla
Kids
Woodhouse.
love her.
Yep.
Excellent.
Okay, let's see. Anyone have any more questions about that capital improvement plan? Okay, human resources update.
Okay, thank you, Chair Allen. We're beginning to test the features of Parent Square in order to perform a needs analysis for staff information and lunch and learn sessions on PD days. These sessions typically cover benefits and/or HR policies, and we are working on ways to get more input from staff as to what they truly need and want during these sessions. So a little needs analysis in the HR department happening. We've also utilized a new tool rolled out this week by IT to post recruitment information on the 3 social media platforms available to us: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. These posts link to both School Spring and the website, where there are active postings for indoor basketball coaches and substitute teachers and TAs. On the wellness front, we have a few individuals participating in the Trust's Plank Challenge this month. Their Couch to 5K program wraps up at the end of October. And the goal is to be able to run a 5K, but you can participate without signing up for the 5K. So we're posting the weekly workouts so that anyone on their own time can participate and follow along. And finally, plans are underway for Wellness Week 2023, which we have decided will be the week of March 6th through 10th. So be on the lookout for more information to come.
Excellent.
Great, thank you. Anyone have any questions? McNamee, you're up next. Finance report.
So the auditor showed up yesterday. They left today. They'll be coming back, but I'm not anticipating any adjustments on the financials. So it looks like that number that we were looking at last month's meeting of 341,000 as a surplus should hold. We're into really just the first 3 months of the year, so we're not looking at a lot of activity where we can do a projection for where we're going to wind up after FY23. But we have received about 16, so we will receive about 16, almost 17,000 of additional state aid based on the adjustment to the state aid formula. So that'll be a positive. One of the things that I've been working with the town on, and it looks like they'll come to fruition this month, is that we'll finally get our virtual net metering agreement in place. So what that's going to do is there's a green energy project within the state that we'll participate in, and we buy a long-term purchase contract. So we're going to buy about 90% of what our kilowatt usage is. So what happens is we get a credit for the energy that's produced by that green energy project that goes to the grid, offsets our bill. We pay the developer 65%, so we make 35% in savings on that. So that should be something we're hoping the project will start to produce in probably late spring. But the contract says no later than 12/31/23. But we're anticipating that'll be for the FY24 budget that we should see those savings. And we started this before the pandemic and just things got sidetracked. So that seems to be working. It's a 20-year contract. I know that Sean was want to hear that, but
Contract with some extensions.
I think you have an out every 3 years or so on the contract too, but it's probably one of the best deals. I know that we have one in Lincoln and we're at 30%. And this one's at 35%. So it's one of the better deals that's been negotiated. So, and we use the consultants that actually supply our energy contracts, Power Options out of Massachusetts. So they did the legwork and it was really no out of pocket. So there is some discussion about some taxpayers that would like to put solar on the town and school roofs. Now that's something that if we do it, since we're going to be getting credit for 90% of our kilowatt hours, we're not going to see any savings. So what normally happens is you do this, what they call behind the meter. So the developer comes in, they put up the solar panels, they own them, they maintain them, they get the energy, they sell the energy back to the grid, and then they pay us a lease payment for utilizing it. So we make some money on that. But we don't get the offset to our energy because we're already getting 90% of it funded right now through green energy. So,
I know we met with the town liaison for solar last week. Wonderful gentleman.
self-appointed, I might add.
Yeah, he was wonderful.
Didn't even know we had one.
Right.
Yes, we do, you do. And it's in the Friday night memo. And we also, don't forget this $106,000 project a few years ago, saving us a lot of money as well. The LED,
Yes.
every single internal and external, so.
Yeah.
We are into green energy,
Yes.
and maybe even solar will be coming to this building.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. McNamee? All right. Committee reports. Policy Subcommittee, Hannah and I met a couple times, so we'll defer down to the action items, see what we went up to. 8.2 Portsmouth School Committee liaison.
Thank you. I attended the Portsmouth School Committee meeting last night at Portsmouth High School. This past weekend was Portsmouth High School's homecoming. The football team won, which was really exciting. And Superintendent Kenworthy was really happy to report a return to normal feeling at the homecoming dance, which was attended by about 600 students, they're estimating. So we're back to dances. So look out for that at your Friday frolic. It's probably gonna be at, yeah.
Friday frolic.
100% attendance. Today, the PSATs were supposed to take place for 9th and 11th grades, but there was some sort of emergency situation at the high school where the students were and ended up being evacuated and sent home around noontime, I think today. What was thought to be a gas leak turned out to be nothing. It was just an evacuation out of the abundance of caution. School will take place tomorrow at the high school, and look out for more information about how that affected the PSATs. Then yeah, just lots of fall activities going around their district as well. They highlighted National Principals Month, which is October. So shout out to our principal, Mr. McKinnon. Thank you for all of your hard work. Yeah. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Wellness Committee, that's Rita. She's not here. Did she share a report with anyone? Because I think there was a wellness.
We had a wellness meeting.
Can wait. Can we?
She did submit an email report.
She did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Really good meeting.
Would you like me to?
Sure.
Okay, great. So there was a wellness committee meeting on September 27th. And Chair Rita Kennahan provided the following report as she anticipated not being able to attend tonight's meeting. There was a report on food services at Wilbur McMahon School. Hot meals are coming. At the time of the meeting, there weren't, but then the following week, the plan was to have hot meals at Wilbur McMahon School, and this was due to no staff in the kitchen until October. There are no more free lunches for students, and messages have gone home to families to apply for the meal waivers. October is Farm to School Month, and there's a great apple crunch competition underway. I believe there was talk about the 8th graders at Buck Hill on a certain date at noon, taking a bite out of one of the apples that are always at Buck Hill. There's always a bunch of apples, just, I don't know, back in your day, but they were going to take a picture.
Which is the noise, not the dessert.
Correct. Yeah, it's the noise of the crunching into an apple. Under student family wellness, Nurse Dunn at the wellness meeting announced that there are 2 flu clinics coming up hosted here at Wilbur McMahon School on 10/17 and 11/17. Information has gone out about that. And coming up in March 2023 will be a youth and mental health first aid course. And again, information is going out about that. And there are COVID testing supplies in the nurse's office when it is deemed necessary, and the nurse contacts families when that is, but testing supplies are sufficient at this time. Under staff wellness, yours truly reported on our opening for staff, including a gift of a perpetual desk calendar and lunch and other healthy dining. We talked about the trust offerings that were also in this wellness report. And we had a CPR and first aid training October 6th with Jim Farrell, and about 6 people took advantage of that. And that Wellness Week 2023 planning is underway. And finally, the last item on Rita's list from the meeting is that the wellness policy was sent to the policy committee for review. That was respectfully submitted by Rita Kennahan.
think there's some tweaking that needs to be done before it gets to the policy committee.
Yes,
right?
there
Because
is.
it hasn't gotten to us.
Right.
yet.
Yeah.
So. All right, great. Thank you for that. And Town Rec Committee, she send that report too?
I did not.
Okay. I'm assuming people are still playing pickleball.
Yes.
That seems to be our biggest event. I feel like everyone's playing pickleball.
It's like the pizza of sports. Everyone loves it.
Okay, jumping down to, we don't have discussion items, 10, public input. Anyone have any input they want to give at this time? You're welcome to speak up anytime, but debate in the audience, whether there'll be some public input or not.
Don't be shy.
All right, moving on to action items. 11.1, consider, discuss, and vote to approve the 2023 eighth grade trip to Washington, DC. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Does anyone have any discussion items, questions, anything for Mr. McKinnon, I assume?
I do have one.
Okay.
If they do in fact fly, I'd love to know who their provider is, because that's a great deal to get them down there.
Yeah.
Like for the rate that you guys, the all-inclusive rate are.
Yeah, you know what, they use this gentleman, I have to think of looking for his name, Mulville.
Jace McMahon.
Jace is their kind of contact down there, but I think it's Mulville Travel.
Yeah.
Jim Mulville Tours. And Mr. DeLeo has been in contact with, I think it's Jace who does it for us. And they were looking at the flights, and it might be a little bit more, but you know, for $10 more, it's probably worth flying down.
Yeah.
A train trip would be nice, but it is a long trip, and they would be leaving Tuesday night at 10 o'clock, traveling through the night. It's the red eye to DC.
I've been in DC without Jace and value his knowledge and ability to shuffle so many people around. I mean, when I've been by myself or with a handful of kids or whatever, it's very difficult, and he moves everyone around very, very
For
easily.
that same thing.
Excited to see it return.
It'd be great. It'd be a great opportunity for the students.
I have a question. Will the kids that go on the Washington trip be able to meet our state representative?
That's a great question. I don't know if they've done that in the past. I know they do visit the Supreme Court building, Capitol building, Arlington National Cemetery, as I talked earlier, the Kennedy Center, Ford's Theater. There's a lot of the Smithsonian museums. I don't believe they meet with any of the state reps or state senators, unless they just happen to, you know, make contacts, you know, as they're outside the building. But I don't believe they do.
Mrs. McNeil, would you mind giving your name and address for the record?
Mrs. McNeil, 446 Long Highway.
Thank you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. 11.2, consider, discuss, and vote to approve PHS tuition contract.
I move to consider, discuss, and vote to approve the PHS tuition contract.
Second.
Awesome. Does anyone have any discussion?
No.
I would like to say we just saw the contract in executive session. I am more than pleased at the savings that we're receiving for the first 3 years. I would like to thank our subcommittee negotiation team of Hannah and the chair, Mike Rocha, for recommending the RFP to the whole committee. And with such a great deal for such a great education. And I want to thank our negotiation team over here for
Yes.
as our superintendent would say, landing the plane.
Oh.
Good. Yep, job well done.
Yes, thank you.
Anyone else have any comments?
Just excited to continue this partnership and hopefully build a stronger relationship with Portsmouth.
Amen.
Um,
I'm one of the people that moved here for Portsmouth, so I'll just be removed. Very excited for the children.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 11.3, consider, discuss, and vote on dress code policy, first read.
I move for discussion on the dress code policy.
Yeah, we don't
We don't have
thank
to
you,
do that
but we
that
don't
time?
have to have one because there's no vote.
Yep.
Yes, but thank you.
And that's all it is, it's hats and hoodies.
Yep, so Mr. McKinnon came to the subcommittee with firming up that the student dress code matches up with the handbook. There's just a little discrepancy with hats and hoodies, so we've included hats and hoodies towards the bottom of the first page as the only addition to the policy. So that was the first read, so we'll vote on it in November. 11.4, consider, discuss, and vote on personal management system, first read.
That pop a little bit. Yeah, here it is.
So this was about just raising some of our substitute rates just a little bit, making them a little more competitive and reflecting that Little Compton is not close to anything. Most people would have to drive here. Gas is high, and just trying to make ourselves a little more competitive. So as you can see, we didn't raise it much. I think the biggest raise was nurse teacher substitutes. They're a little more difficult to get a hold of.
Scroll down because
Next up,
So
11.5. If anyone has
Oh,
something
and
to say,
just,
jump in.
just
Yeah.
some language and.
Oh, was there some
changing,
language? I'm sorry.
reflecting
Thank
that
you.
That's no longer the school committee's role in use of absence.
Great, thank you. Feel free to jump in. 11.5, consider, discuss, and vote on Title IX, non-discrimination policy, first read. So this is a brand new policy. Carolyn brought to us. So everything is new, just outlining Title IX, non-discrimination. Sean helped us with this to make sure we had all our wording correct with the state.
Madam Chair, did we not have one of these prior? Title IX? We did not.
No.
Would you like me to just give a brief explainer on this policy and the reason why it's being brought forward? So recently, the federal government under the United States Department of Education has issued new Title IX regulations relative to how the school department goes about investigating allegations of sexual harassment, sexual assault. This was first implemented under the Trump administration, and these regulations do take some time, but all public schools K through 12 throughout the country need to follow this new outline of processes as you see in your policy. It mostly follows, as it has to, the federal regulations. There is not much room for discretion, areas where there are discretion, or if you flip to the last page of the policy, areas like sanctions. So if someone is found to have committed some type of sexual harassment, you can see outlined there, there are a series of particular sanctions that that individual could be subject to. Other than that, this just outlines that process from beginning to end when someone complains of being sexually harassed or someone says that I've heard of or received an allegation or a report of someone else having been sexually harassed, what the school department's responsibilities are how they conduct that investigation, and how, once evidence is collected, that decision is made to determine whether or not sexual harassment has in fact occurred.
Thank you, Sean.
Anyone else have any questions? 11.6, consider, discuss, and vote on school cancellation policy, first read. So this came up because there was some concern, I think it was in the spring, about snow days and how kids have sort of missed snow days because of virtual learning. So we went around and around on this, and this is what we came up with. I'm guessing the superintendent wants to discuss it. No? No?
So it did come up a few months ago. I believe school committee member Travis Ahney and also Mike Rocha did express concern about the fact that the Department of Ed now approves virtual instruction on days when there's inclement weather. And what does that do for kids who live in New England and with climate change? We don't get those snow days as often as we used to. And so we definitely want to balance, enhancing a kiddo's childhood through the natural world, and also with the instructional imperatives that schools must follow. And so I added language, the superintendent or his, her, or their designee. And then this is a policy that's been on the books since 2013. So what's in green is what I've added. What's in red is what I did strike out. So the superintendent or his, her, their designee will be responsible for the decision to cancel school, dismiss school early, delay the starting time of school. That's old language, it's always been in there, or institute a full day or half day of virtual instruction due to inclement weather or other emergency situations. The decision to cancel school, dismiss school early, delay school, et cetera, or institute a full day or half day of virtual instruction due to inclement weather will be made after consultation with the bus company, police. We already do all that. Town Public Works departments, weather forecasts, district IT director, superintendent's assistant who lives in Little Compton. A lot of consultation is done. Principal always before we cancel or delay or et cetera. And then this is the language that I think as a mom, I want to see in here. The superintendent shall balance the academic needs of students with the role that outdoor play holds in a child's development when deciding whether to institute virtual instruction in lieu of the other options described herein. In other words, superintendent will use his, her, their discernment. Okay, wow, this is really good snow that sticks. This will make a great snow cave or snowman, that sort of thing. And so we're honoring RIDE's new protocols. Yes, schools can ask for 5 days of virtual instruction for inclement weather, et cetera. Do we want to take all 5 if we have 5 days? We had a bomb cyclone last year and a couple of snow days, or a couple of days that had no snow, but purported to be such. Maybe not. And so what we've done here, if you remember, we've balanced. We had 1 full snow day that didn't really materialize into much, but we did have some real snow days that we felt instruction needed to continue. We had benchmarking happening and things like that. And so we did half a day. So 3 hours of work at home, and connectivity was robust at the time, and then get outside and don't put stones in snowballs, but throw snowballs at each other. So it satisfies everything.
I wanted Lori to speak to it because I felt like she was the one that was kind of all over the map a little bit about how we should, how we should word this. Like, it was important to her to, recognize that snow days were important for
Yes.
kids, but also that she and Mr. McKinnon are the ones that know what's going on in the school and what an acceptable day to miss is. And if we start as a school committee saying, no, we want first 2 snow days to be snow days, the kids could be missing out on something
Correct.
very important in school that not only are we not aware of on that day, but we're not aware of today when we make this policy.
Correct.
So, but she did want to value or put value on the importance of those days. So this is what we came up with as.
I think it's good. I think.
Beautifully done. I think,
Sticks the landing.
yeah, it's perfect. I mean,
So we also don't want to be going to school at the end of July.
Correct.
It's hot in here.
correct.
Yes, so
And I think we had a very productive discussion too about how distance learning is now virtual instruction, and the shift from when we first started the pandemic, it was more about, yeah, get the kids in front of the screen and make sure they're learning something. Now we can really hone in and say, what should a virtual school day look like, and set those norms and get kids in the routine in case, happens again.
and last year when this crossed our paths, kids were still doing a lot of virtual learning. They were still burnt out from that. So, moving forward, if there's a snow day and it's a half a virtual day, it
Or
won't
full.
be as, or full, okay, or full,
Snow day. Who knows?
but hopefully half, but.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully half. Make them throw some snowballs, but. All right, so that was a
All right.
read. Anyone have any questions on that? Okay. 11.7, consider, discuss, and vote to approve any request for information from administration and or legal counsel. Does anyone have anything they want the lawyer or Mr. McNamee to research? Okay, I would consider a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?